Original post. I recently found out that I'm not my father's biological child. I am posting here for advice from adults and to know if I'm being unfair to my parents or not. It's so confusing and messed up. I can't make sense of what's going on in my life. It's better if one just dies instead of going through this bull crap. A week ago, when I came back home, I saw my mom with another man. I was shocked to see them kissing, and I guess so were they. He rushed and left, and my mom was just looking at me. We were both staring at each other. I broke the silence and asked my mom if she was cheating. She said, no, it's complicated, and said that I might not be able to understand. I said I didn't want to listen to her explanation and left. My mom tried to stop me, but I didn't listen to her and said that I'm going to my aunt. I went to my aunt and have been living with her since last week. I told my aunt everything that I witnessed and told her how disgusting my mom is and that I wish she wasn't my mom. My aunt said that I shouldn't insult my mom because she took care of me and she had her reasons. I asked her what these reasons are. She, in reply, asked me if I really wanted to know and if I was prepared. She said, I am an adult now, and they all tried their best to hide it, but my parents would never be able to tell me the truth. If I wanted to know the reason, she would tell me. I asked her to tell me the truth, and my aunt said that my parents are in an open relationship. My father's infertile and I'm not his child. My mom didn't cheat on my father. I asked her who my biological father is, and she said they don't know, and it doesn't matter because my current father is my father. He did everything for me, and I am his child. I got very angry after listening to all this. I called my father and cursed him out for being a weak man. I told him that it isn't in our culture to entertain something like this. My father tried to justify himself, but I hung up on him. Yesterday, he and my mom came to my aunt's. And the first thing they did was yell at my aunt for telling me the truth. My aunt said that I deserved to know the truth, and it would have come out sooner or later, and they should have told me ages ago that my father is not biologically related to me. My parents instead started asking me to come back to my house, and they started dragging me. I said no. I said I'm glad I'm not biologically related to him, otherwise I would be a weak man as well, which I regret very much. My mom started crying and pleading with me to come back, and she forced me. My aunt stopped her, and they got into a huge fight. After a lot of fighting, my aunt asked me if I wanted to go with my parents, and I said no. My aunt threatened my parents to leave, otherwise she would call the cops. My parents left, but my mom was crying. I wanted to hug her. I still want to hug her after so many days, and I regret saying what I said. I cried to my aunt that I want to focus on my own life and build my career and get away from all this. I want to focus on my own career, find a woman, and live my life without thinking about all this. My aunt said that I'm free to live with her for however long I want to, and I'm her son as well. My parents put me in a difficult position because of their selfish desires. Today, I asked my aunt if she would be willing to become my mom legally. I called her mom, and she cried so hard. We both hugged each other for a while. I cried as well because I lost my mom, and my aunt cares about me so much. I still miss my mom, but after knowing what happened in my parents' relationship and how disgusting they are, I think I might never be able to see them and love them again. Update. My parents are in an open relationship, and I found out about it from my aunt when I saw my mom kissing another man in our house a week ago. I went to my aunt's instead, and she told me that I'm not my father's child, he's infertile. When I asked who my biological father is, she said nobody knows, which made me extremely angry. I started living with my aunt and treating her like my mother because what my parents did was too crazy for me. I said some nasty stuff to my father, and in the end, my aunt was able to kick my parents out when they came to get me and started dragging me. My aunt threatened them with cops. But today, my mother visited me once again. She was so angry and crying. She said she has had enough and will no longer put up with my act. My aunt tried to stop her, but my mom told her to STFU and that she would deal with her later. My mom started dragging me, and when I resisted, she said she's had enough and would beat me like she used to when I was a child if I didn't get my act together. She said, "You're going to give up on your parents and cut them off because of something like this. I didn't carry you for months and raise you to 19 just to be forsaken by you and your childish behavior." My aunt tried to stop my mom, but my mom crumpled her and said my aunt would regret it and that she wouldn't hesitate if my aunt tried to make her son hers, whatever that means. Anyway, I went back home with my mom, and my father saw me, but he didn't talk to me. And I didn't talk to him either. My mom sat me down and said that my parents' sexual life is different from what I'm used to, but that doesn't mean I should cut them off for life. She said, "You said you're glad that the man who raised you isn't your biological father, otherwise you would turn out as weak as he is. Who says something like that?" She told me it was her fault that she spoiled me rotten. I'm not going anywhere or leaving my own parents, she said. And then she started sobbing. To be honest, I love my mom very much. I have never seen her cry like this or react like this before. I've never seen her so angry. I hugged my mom and cried as well. I asked her if she ever thought about how I felt about my parents being so open and my own mom being with other men. I told her that if word got out, I would be shamed to death by others. My mom started crying even more, and after she calmed down, she asked me what she could do to make sure that I did not leave her. I had only one demand. I asked her to quit whatever this crazy thing is. I don't care what my parents are doing in their bedroom as long as only my parents are involved, not some third party. My mom agreed and said, "You're my only son, and if that's what it takes to make you stay with me and not give up on our parental relationship, I'll do it. I'm willing to lose everyone and everything, but not my son." We both hugged each other for a long time. My mom asked me to talk to my father, but I refused. I said, "I'm 19, and I know what this all means and what my father likes. I have lost all respect for him. I'm not even mad that he's not my biological father. I'm mad because he's letting my mom be with another man and he's enjoying it. I no longer respect him." My mom started convincing me, saying that my father is a good man. He took care of us both, and is my father. She said I shouldn't hurt him more than I already have with my words. But I said I'm not ready to talk to him, and if she pressures me, I will leave, which I think was also too much once again, and I said something I shouldn't have. My mom said she will stop, but I'm not allowed to leave. She's checking up on me constantly, hugging me, holding me all the time. She wouldn't even allow me to shut my own door. Her reasons are that I might do something and leave in my own anger, which is out of control. She's spending the majority of her time with me. Only now that she went to cook did I get the time to post here and vent, because it's so confusing and I'm fed up. I can't even think straight. I'm confused like never before, like what the F is happening in my life. Story 2. This has happened with every single guy I've dated or been interested in. I've only had 3 relationships before my current one with John. My twin sister Sarah has tried to interfere with all of them. 2 of my exes cheated on me with her. The third we broke up for other reasons, but Sarah still tried to seduce him. He was a good guy and always had boundaries with her, but that didn't stop her from trying to the point of sending him naked footage multiple times and then claiming, "Oops, wrong person," when he told her he wasn't interested. When that didn't work, she also tried to break us up by lying to my ex and our mutual friends, saying that I was cheating. My ex didn't believe her, but some friends did, so yeah, that was fun to deal with. Then when we were kids, like in middle and high school, if Sarah found out I had a crush, she went after the guy herself. I used to tell her those things because, well, isn't that what sisters do? She always used it against me. I told her I was working up the courage to ask the guy I was talking to prom. She then asked him and he said yes. She said he'd just been using me to get to her. Another time, a few years before that, she announced to everyone in a class we shared that I liked this one boy who got bullied a lot. Kids then started teasing him even more, and he hated me. I felt horrible for months. She thought it was the funniest thing ever. She also once told a teacher whose class I was doing badly in that I was into him and willing to do favors for better grades. That got reported, and I had to go through this whole counseling thing before it was finally cleared up. It was extremely embarrassing. My sister just blew it off as a prank. There are so many other situations like this. She either gets guys who are interested in me to sleep with her or ruins my chances with them by making up bullshit to make me look bad. She's ruined some of my friendships by lying about me too. She told my best friend in high school that I was gossiping meanly about her and went so far as faking text messages. I don't know if she even actually wants these people for herself. You might think it's obviously jealousy, but sometimes I honestly think she just gets a kick out of messing with me. Anyway, I've finally gotten my life more together after wasting the first couple years of college on being depressed and a gaming addiction. I met my boyfriend John at a campus organization. I haven't told Sarah, but he ended up meeting my parents by accident today. I don't have much contact with them, but they decided to come for a surprise visit. They live over 5 hours away and do this a few times a semester, even though I've said I don't like it, but that's for another post. John was in my room with me when they got here, so I had no choice but to introduce them. He knows I was holding off on having them meet because I don't have the greatest relationship with them. Sarah lives at home with my parents while going to college locally. I'm certain they're going to mention meeting my boyfriend. And then cue her insisting on coming with them the next time they surprise visit me. She'll also start stalking my social media to try to figure out who he is. I've tried to explain the issues I have with her to my parents. They think I'm overreacting. They say she just wants to know what's going on in my life, to be involved. Yes, that is the problem, her involvement. Not to mention, we used to be closer before I lost trust in her to stop doing this shit, so I've seen what her own life is like. She does things my parents have no idea of. She takes party drugs sometimes, which wouldn't be a big deal. But she has no idea how to be responsible. She drives people around while drunk and high. My parents think she's with a friend studying on weekends, but she's actually clubbing in the city and then crashing with her friends for the night. I'm not sure how many real boyfriends she's had. But she's hooked up with a lot of guys the same night she met them. This has meant a few times she was scared of pregnancy. I've had to help her get plan B. It sometimes feels like she sleeps with nearly any man that smiles at her. She even told me she's had sex with a few girls while wasted. However, that's possible. She confides all these things to me, but whenever I need someone to talk to, she has no time and never wants to hear anything unless she can save it as ammo. So I've gradually stopped telling her most things. If my parents knew all this, they might see where I'm coming from. It's not just random that I don't want her meeting my boyfriend. It's not because I want to hurt her or something. The problem is, our parents are really strict and traditional, and they'd probably kick her out if I told them any of that. They don't believe in sex before marriage. My boyfriend is the first person I've had sex with, and I'm afraid my sister could use that against me if she finds out. So what do I do? How can I keep Sarah from finding out about him and doing the same thing she's done with all my past boyfriends? How do I explain it to my parents? Update. So I've made a lot of changes in my family life since I posted this a couple of weeks ago. I first told everything to my boyfriend. He was shocked and assured me he'd never cheat on me with my sister or anyone else. He also respected that I didn't want her to meet him. I decided to take the advice given and block her on social media. She immediately noticed, like within 10 minutes after she'd been blocked. She sent a text saying, "Did you block me on Instagram and Facebook?" So I didn't beat around the bush. I said yes, because I didn't like how she'd messed with my personal relationships. She tried to guilt trip me about how I hadn't told her about my boyfriend, which means my parents must have told her about him, like I knew they would. She exploded at me because, according to her, she would never have tried to stalk him or anything, but I hadn't even gotten a chance to say I was worried she'd do this. She said at first, "So what does that say? I told her I flat out didn't trust her to not try to take people from me." She called me psycho and selfish, but whatever. Really, I can't reason with her. She just never sees the problem with anything she's done. The way she thinks makes it almost like arguing with a young child. I blocked her number. I still feel kind of bad doing this because what if there was an emergency and she needed me? But we live hours apart. So I figured we'd hope my parents would be who she contacted in that case. Then, as for them, I also got a call from my mom soon after I blocked my sister, who wanted to know what I was doing because she was upset. She'd already heard my sister's side, which was just that I'd blocked her out of nowhere. So I tried to tell her my side. I did not tell her my sister's personal business about drugs and having sex. Like I said in the first post, I'm not going to fall for petty revenge. I just want her to stop interfering in my life. So all I said was that in the past, she's been inappropriate with guys I've dated and has spread rumors about me, and it made me unable to trust her. My mom then wanted to know what I meant by inappropriate. My parents are really conservative and don't believe in having sex before marriage. She also got my dad on the call at this point. I told them the details didn't matter. She kept trying to go back to this point, even wanting to know if I had been having premarital sex. It was really frustrating. I told them the point I'm trying to make is that my sister has broken my trust. They began saying I should forgive her because they care about our family and don't want to see us fighting. Well, I'm not exactly fighting. I'm simply not going to be in contact with her. To them, it's the same thing. Then they wanted me to come home for a weekend to discuss everything as a family. I said I wasn't going to do that, that I'd made my decision and have no time for a trip. They said they'd come to me then. That brought up how they show up for random visits, even when I've said, I don't like it. I told them I didn't want them doing that anymore. And if they did it again, I wouldn't let them in or talk with them. So they flipped out. That was fun. I got to hear all about how I'm constantly making problems and don't care about my family. I ended up having to block their numbers because they kept calling back and blocking them on Facebook because they were sending messages going back and forth between begging to talk and accusing me of being a terrible daughter and sister. I don't know what I'm going to do about them. They did threaten to stop paying for my college if I cut them out of my life. I unblocked them to say I want to be in touch with them and do love them, but I can't do the unexpected visits or them prying into my personal life. I said if they stop doing that, then I'm happy to have a relationship with them. They had a million reasons why I'm in the wrong. I couldn't deal with it and reblocked them yesterday. So I don't know what my tuition deal is going to be now. My boyfriend, at least, has been really supportive during this HET. He thinks my parents are way out of line and my sister's crazy. He's really helped keep me as sane as I can be. Overall, I just feel really shy. I wish any of them would ever listen to what I say. But if they won't, then what can I do besides put up with what you all pointed out was really controlling or take more control back myself? It just stinks it has to be so final. I guess I wouldn't mind a middle ground, like planning a visit with them once in a while or talking with my sister about non-personal things, but they want way more than I do.